This video is for anybody who's thinking of doing their first peak above 6,000 meters, whether you are a beginner or intermediate mountaineer. Let's start with Lobuche. Lobuche is not a trekking peak. At 6,119 meters, it's often touted as an easy trekking peak that is just a walk up, the same as Island or Mera peak, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Lobuche is a real mountain with real danger. The climb takes between 5 to 7 hours up with good acclimatization and good weather. It also involves mixed climbing over rock sections, which can be pretty steep, using an ascender, good rope skills, and an exposed ridge traverse. There's a reason that climbers use Lhotse to use Lobuche to acclimatise and prepare for Everest or Lhotse. That's because it's in that sweet spot of mountaineering where both beginner and intermediate mountaineers can learn a lot from it. Some even camp on the summit when preparing for Everest, like Bianca Adler and Kristin Harila did earlier this year while the Khumbu ice fall was closed and had a large delay.
This is the high camp that we got next to a nice glacial lake, and you can see the climbing route here. We'll go from all the way down here, we'll go up across this ridge, across and up again, and then just at the edge of this, it's like an S in the ice, we'll go up and then across to the peak there. Nice one. Alright, Lobuche Peak, 6119.
If you want to give yourself the best chance at climbing over 6,000 meters for your first time, then a real trekking peak would be Mount San Francisco, 6,018 meters in Chile, which doesn't even require a harness, and gives you views of the alien-like Atacama. This is super remote, 200 kilometers away from the nearest town, and there are ridiculous salt lakes like Laguna Verde nearby, which can act as a perfect base camp. People have even driven motorcycles to the top, like Maximo Kausch or Pal Tarrés. If you're going to climb Mount San Francisco, then you also have a chance to climb one of the surrounding 6,000 meter peaks right after it, which means it works well as an acclimatization peak. I did this whenever I climbed Ojos Del Salado, 6,893 meters, and it ended up working out perfectly for me.
Alright, almost at the summit, which is just here. Must be at 5,890, 5,850, 5,900-ish. This is crazy, and the view is insane. I hope.
Huayna Potosí, 6,088 meters, just outside the city of La Paz in Bolivia, would be a step up where you could learn alpine style glacier traverses and get a crazy cloud inversion sunrise if you're lucky. It's super accessible and cheap, costing only about $90 to $150. You typically get a day where you can learn some basic ice climbing skills and spend the night at the trailhead, and then you spend a second night at the high camp before the summit push at about 1 to 2 a.m. You can also climb it in one night if you're pre-acclimatized, which makes it even cheaper. It's famous as a beginner 6,000 meter peak for a reason, which means that there can be some crowding, but honestly this wasn't an issue whenever I climbed it. It didn't feel overcrowded and it didn't take away from the experience.
Alright, in the distance we have Lake Titicaca, Sahama, Parinacota, Imani over here, Imani, all of this, Cordillera Real, sun. And this, just incredible.
Chichani, 6,057 meters in the south of Peru, is similar to Huayna Potosí, but has way less crowds and feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. It's also very accessible and surprisingly affordable. It takes only one night, with the first day being a 2 to 3 hour hike to the base camp. I will say that coming only from the nearby city of Arequipa or from sea level and trying to go above 6,000 meters in under 6 days is a bad idea in terms of acclimatization, and for that reason it can sometimes be almost too accessible. If you're in Peru, you should go to Rainbow Mountain or at least above 5,000 meters before going to Chichani.
So today's climbing route was started over there, over that valley, hiked up over, through those rocks there, here, to our lovely base camp. Tomorrow's route, we're gonna go up along this ridge. You can barely see it because it's just covered by these rocks, but we're going to go to the end of the rocks, the small ridge going up here, then through the snow in between the mountain pass over to the top. 6,075 meters. In total, 1,000 meters up tomorrow. Yay.
If you want to really push the altitude but keep the skill level the same, then the 6,380 meter volcano Parinacota is the way to go. In the Sajama National Park of Bolivia, it's like Mount Fuji took a bunch of steroids. A perfect cone shape with low steepness and alpine style climbing up. It's a real test of how your body reacts at altitude, and you can see over 200 kilometers of the Bolivian Altiplano. Plus, the descent is straight down. Whether that's a good thing or not depends on how much you trained your knees and how much caffeine you took during the hike.
Summit of Parinacota. Just look at this caldera. Oh my god. That is one of the most ludicrous things I have ever seen. Ever. Ever. There's Sajama. Next climb. There's Pomarapi, Twin Volcano, and way in the distance, you won't be able to see it on camera, you can see Imani and Huayna Potosí, almost 300 kilometers away driving. Crazy.
So, these are my recommendations on what 6,000 meter mountains you should climb as a beginner based on my personal experience. They're definitely not a definitive list, and there are many other 6,000 meter peaks that you could start with. If you know that you want to push to more fixed rope peaks in the future, like the popular ones in Nepal such as Himlung Himal, Manaslu, or even Everest, then something like Lobuche should be on your list. If you want to just get above 6,000 meters to experience the altitude in the safest and easiest way possible, then Huayna Potosí, Mount San Francisco, and Chichani are what I would recommend. If you're comfortable trying to go even higher but without increasing the risk a significant amount, then Parinacota is where you should aim. But you could also pair Parinacota with a nearby mountain like Acotango. So, what 6,000 meter mountain will be your first?